Alright, so making a crowdfunding campaign, there's a couple of things you should think about. So, if you want to make a successful crowdfunding campaign, it's pretty much all about pre-planning and trying to network and get partners on board in time. Especially if you don't have a reach yourself or have like a big network or following. If you don't have an audience, then start there straight away. Yeah, so make friends and start just connecting with people. That's super important if you want to grow your campaign beyond you and your following. It really comes down to just preparing everything and making sure that you have the money before, as much as you can before the campaign starts. Hi.
Pappa gör bobo.
Ja, pappa vet bobo.
Pappa.
Like we collaborated with Kickstarter. Hello. Anyway, yeah, I'll continue this later when we're gone a bit further. 1, 2, 3, kör! So I've done a couple of crowdfunding campaigns, and I think when you leverage other people's audiences, when you collaborate with like NGOs or you collaborate with Kickstarter or Maddie that we did for this campaign and Epidemic Sound, then you really can reach beyond your own network, and that's crucial. It's just the way things work is getting PR and reaching a lot of people or collaborating, and that you can like manifest yourself really. So I would try that as a first objective of doing things. Hur går det, Tristan? Följer du med? So in my opinion, it's really like a crucial thing to build your own audience. But if you can't, when you do leverage other people's audiences and kind of mesh together with other people that have audiences, that's really when you can like control the reach. Because sure, you can focus a lot on PR and making a campaign go viral, but it's still up to somebody else to like control your destiny. So the more you can kind of make sure that you have the right partners in time, the better. The thing that we learned when we were making the Pearl of Africa, that was really that the best way that you can get like people engaged and be part of your project is really to make like video content. Like for instance, we did a web series called The Pearl of Africa, and that was a web series that kind of showed why you should care about the project. For this project we did the same. We did like a vlogging type of style and documentary behind the scenes before we approach people, and then that makes it easier for people to actually want to engage with you. Like try to pre-raise as much as you can. I think we had a little bit of our own funds that we put in the beginning so that it took off, and then we also had a deal with Epidemic Sound where they supported us, and in return we used their music in the web series. So we tried to leverage that partnership and got some funding that way, and then we also tried to like set aside and save up money just in case we don't reach our goal. We still have like a push in the end where we can reach our goal by putting our own funding in. So just pre-plan to have that safety net. When you set goals that are too high, it's really hard to meet your demand. So I think start low, something that you think you can manage. Our first crowdfunding campaign we failed miserably. We did another one, we raised about 14k, and now we're raising 20k-ish? No, 25k. So that's like something to think about. It's just like, what's the right amount to ask for? Because you need to be able to raise it, otherwise, you know, you fail. Är det stora djur?
Va?
Är det stora djur?
Ja.
But anyway, if you do like manage to build your own audience, because that's crucial, then like working with other people won't be as necessary. But if you don't have other people, then like it's just the way to go. Because I've done like 3 crowdfunding campaigns now, and the more audience you have yourself, the easier it gets. Really, like the more controlled it feels.
Aj, pappa.
Är de arg på dig?
Ja.
Ska de äta upp det?
Ja. Och vad är det? Vad är det nu? Hej mu.
Ser du ingenting, Bobo? Ja, det är ju inte lätt om man inte ser. Anyway, move. Yes, I just think that you should really focus on those things. But then outside of that, I think it's super important to have like a great trailer. So if you haven't checked out my video on that, check it out, because it's super important to have a good trailer for your crowdfunding campaign. Think about what your audience needs as well, because your perks and your trailer and like everything that you're trying to solve in terms of a problem, because that's what you really should focus on, solving a problem for people. And if you do that, then like focus the campaign around that. For us, we looked at our audience. We determined that like everything is based around filmmakers and filmmaking. And then we created a campaign that was based around that. Instead of doing it for the film itself, we tried to like give value to the people. And that I think is something that a lot of people miss. They just ask for money and not giving anything in return but a t-shirt. So I wouldn't just think about it in ways of raising funding. It's so much more than that. You can raise your audience that way. So investing in it and seeing it as a campaign, it can be really worthwhile. So don't neglect it in being like more than a campaign of raising funds. See it as a way to just start building your audience and building leverage for your project. I think something that's not talked about a lot is how you use the momentum you get out of a campaign. So we're contacting agents and buyers and all that when we have succeeded with a campaign. So we know that we're gonna succeed beforehand because we've done everything the right way. And in case we don't succeed, we're still like with enough money in our pocket so that we can make it look successful, because that will create a hype and that can help in your negotiations with other people. So think about using it as a tool for getting other funding as well. Crowdfunding, it's definitely not any free money. It's definitely something you really have to work hard at. So if you're thinking that, then just forget about it. Okay, so this question is from Epoch. Honestly, this was one of my favorite videos so far, the cinematography video. That shot as 2:03 was absolutely stunning. I didn't know about the 30-second rule either. I need to start applying it. Now there's wind, so this probably sounds crappy, right? Do you leave recording still for a few seconds? For that, I wouldn't do like any... I would of course do it as slowly as I could. I would shoot slow motion to have leverage. Then you can speed that up and add some motion blur if you want. But I wouldn't do it on like slides or anything like that. I would always try to get it to be 30 seconds, but it doesn't have to be. It all comes down to you knowing how you're gonna cut it. And this leads me to the second question of this question. You also gave the tip to not overshoot a scene. However, in this video you use a lot of angles, even when you're paddling, and that made it very rich for me. Did I misunderstood? Car. No, you didn't misunderstand me there, but the thing is, when you're shooting a scene, I think keeping it simple, you notice this when you're editing, you realize that you're not using that many angles of anything. I usually cut in my head while I shoot, and that's something that you need to get good at. And you do that by practicing editing and editing your own material. Then it's gonna be much easier. So practice editing first, and then you're gonna see which type of cuts you're gonna make, and that's gonna be more efficient. So for the old video that I did, like the last cinematography video when I was paddling, I cut everything in my head, so I didn't like leave anything on the table. There's like all the stuff that I shot, I used. There was like tiny bit that I cut out, but pretty much everything was cut on the spot. So you need to be able to develop your way of editing in your head while you shoot, so you're more efficient. So if you want to do a lot of cuts, then do that. But if the story is like more effectively told by using one angle, then use one angle. So it all comes down to what are you trying to tell. And in this scene I was trying to like tell about the chaos of paddling and not actually being able to have the picnic that we were making, and that added to that. But in a different scene I would maybe just lay on one shot and keep it like that to build some type of suspense or something. So that's what it comes down to. Okay, so comment if you want your question featured in another episode. Otherwise, thanks for watching this one, and see you. If you go cinema camera, you gotta have cinema gear. So Easy Rig is probably the best investment you'll ever make. I've had a lot of different stuff in my days, but the Easy Rig is probably the thing that I've become most fond of. So you just pull this down, you put the camera on, you have no weight whatsoever from the camera on you, or it's all on you but you don't feel it. That's the thing, that's what's so lovely about it. This is like how I shoot most of the time. What a morning. Unsuccessful with the food, but let's just go back home and get some pancakes there. Kinda weird to paddle with one hand, but off you all.